Under the pale glow of Eryndor's twin moons, silence hung over an endless alien desert. Jagged crystal spires pierced the dunes, glowing faintly in the darkness. Through this strange landscape, a streak of light cut across the skies. A lone ship descending. It touched down with a hiss of steam, and from its metallic hull stepped a figure clad in armor, visor glowing a faint blue. His name was Chiron, bearer of the Spear of Light. Sworn to protect the stars from the spread of shadows, ahead, far across the shifting sands, loomed a fortress unlike any other. Its towers were carved from black stone that pulsed with crimson veins of energy. The ground itself seemed to recoil from its presence, and storms gathered overhead as if the sky despised the thing rooted below. This was the domain of Lord Verac, the warlord of shadows, who had devoured worlds and now claimed Eryndor as his throne. Inside, upon a seat of bones, he waited. His armor was jagged, etched with runes that burned red, and his eyes glowed like living fire. He felt the hero's presence long before Chiron ever reached the gates. As the warrior approached, the sands came alive. From beneath the dunes crawled beasts of darkness, their skin as black as obsidian and their maws glowing with unholy fire. They lunged with shrieks that shook the night. Chiron met them head-on, his plasma spear humming with energy. Sparks and light clashed with fangs and claws, and with every strike the creatures dissolved into smoke. When the last had fallen, the gates of the fortress creaked open, daring him to step inside. The interior was worse than the desert outside. Fire burned in braziers along colossal halls, but the flames were cold and red, casting shadows that seemed to move on their own. Symbols crawled like worms across the walls, alive with an ancient magic. From this darkness, Verac emerged, a giant in blackened armor, wielding an obsidian blade longer than Chiron himself. His voice thundered through the chamber. Light always dies in the dark. Chiron steadied his stance and answered, "Then I'll burn brighter than you can bear." Their weapons met with an earth-shattering crack. The fortress shook, and molten veins beneath the floor glowed hotter with each clash. Sparks flew, shadows writhed, and both combatants drove one another to the edge of exhaustion. But Verac's power was more than brute strength. He called upon the shadows themselves. From the walls and ceilings poured creatures of smoke and flame, rushing the hero in waves. Chiron's spear blazed with radiant fury, bursts of light scattering them like ashes in the wind. Yet more kept coming. Then the true storm began. Verac raised his sword, summoning torrents of fire and darkness that rained across the hall. Chiron shielded himself with pure energy, his body trembling against the force. Light and shadow collided in deafening blasts, tearing down pillars, cracking stone, and filling the chamber with smoke. The battle became a war of will. The hero's light against the villain's endless dark at last. Verac's strength overwhelmed him. With a roar, the warlord hurled Chiron to the ground, pinning him beneath the weight of his blade. Sparks hissed as steel pressed against armor, and the end seemed certain. But in that moment, Chiron remembered the vow he had taken, the worlds he had sworn to protect, and the lives that depended on his victory. His spear flared with power, brighter than ever before, so bright it seared even the shadows around them with one final strike. Chiron drove the weapon through Veyrak's chest. The warlord screamed, his armor cracking, his body shattering into ash and flame. The fortress groaned as its heart was torn apart, collapsing in a storm of fire and dust. Chiron staggered from the ruin, barely standing, as dawn broke over Eryndor. The twin moons faded as the first rays of a new sun rose across the desert, breathing heavily. Spear planted in the sand, the warrior whispered, "One battle won. But the war is far from over." And as the ruins smoked behind him, the narrator's voice carried across the silence, "Hope survives, but shadows always return."